It's Friday the 13th and you're making a visit to Crystal Lake. It's starting to get late and you decide to head to bed after a fun night with friends. Everyone starts getting their sleeping bags. Suddenly, you hear a crack in the woods behind you. A tall and big man stands behind your friend. You notice something red shining through your friend. It's blood. The man pushes your friend to the side and starts walking towards you. You finally notice. It's Jason Voorhees. It's officially spooky month now, and we at Infoyeti want to make a Halloween themed video, and what better way than to pit you, our average viewer, against Jason Voorhees, the most feared and unstoppable killing machine here at Infoyeti. Jason Voorhees was born in the small town of Crystal Lake on June 13, 1946, to Pamela Vorhees and Elias Vorhees. Jason was born with severe facial deformities, one which was hydrocephalus, which gives you an abnormally big head, and mental disabilities. Pamela was forced to raise Jason on her own, and because of his disabilities and deformities, she decided to keep him isolated from the community. She didn't let him go to school, and therefore educated him in their own home. Because of Jason's mental disabilities, his education was quite limited and learned to never question his mother. Because of his strict mother and her teachings that she's never wrong, made Jason develop an extreme obedience to his mother. In 1957, Pamela was hired as a cook for the Crystal Lake camp. Because Pamela couldn't afford a nanny, she had to bring Jason with her to the camp. He spent most of the time with his mom, which made the other kids think that he's not very bright, so the kids started bullying him. One day, when Jason was being bullied, he tried running away, but the kids ran after him out on a dock where they threw him in the lake, where they thought he drowned. The counselors were supposed to look after the kids, but they were too busy having sex somewhere else. After Jason drowned, the camp was closed, but no body was ever recovered of Jason. The following year, Pamela was filled with grief and anger so much that she went on a murder spree on the camp counselors that were supposed to look after Jason. Pamela was unaware that Jason had survived the drowning and had somehow made it to land safely. Having no idea how to seek help, Jason decided to occupy an abandoned shanty in the forest and live off of plants and hunting animals. Jason lived for several years in the forest around Crystal Lake, up until they tried to reopen the camp in 1979. Jason would later, after the reopening, rediscover his mother, but only moments before she was decapitated by a counselor who acted in self-defense. Jason took his mother's sweater, pants, severed head, and the machete that killed her, and built a shrine in his shack. After this, Jason began his murderous rampage. So how would you survive if you ever tried to take on Jason? Well, first we have to look at Jason's strengths and weaknesses. Jason stands at 2.1 meters tall or 7 feet. He's estimated to weigh around 154 kilos or 340 pounds. Jason even has supernatural abilities, such as superhuman strength. He's shown being able to bend metal, and he flipped a 2-ton car over. Jason in part 6 was resurrected from the dead by a lightning bolt, which made him immortal. But he can still sustain damage, and damaged or lost tissue will generate, but it takes some time. Jason also has great hunting skills, which makes it harder to escape as he can trap, track, and pursue a person for miles. Now this isn't to say Jason can't be beaten, but it does make it near impossible to beat him. The last strength to point out is Jason's incredible speed and stealth. He can slip in and out of areas undetected, and by only walking, he can cover vast distances in short time. So now when we've gone over the strengths of Jason, how would you defeat him? One of the most common tactics is to slow Jason down. Even though Jason is immortal, it has been demonstrated that Jason can be restrained for years in one location. But how would you restrain Jason? In Freddy vs. Jason, we get to see that Jason isn't impervious to injections of tranquilizers, so the smart tactic here is to somehow sneak a syringe, or several, filled with tranquilizers and inject him with it. But that won't be easy, as he'll still be able to swing if you get too close. Now this is where a tranquilizer gun would come in handy. If you shoot Jason with a tranquilizer gun filled with more than enough tranquilizer to kill an elephant, you'd probably be safe for the time being. Now when Jason is incapacitated, you've got time to dismember him, as he can't defend himself. So we recommend you chop him up into small pieces, so it'll take longer for him to regenerate. And when you're done making him into a 1,000-piece chicken nugget meal, to make sure he's really dead, you could always light his remains on fire and turning him into ashes. If you want to take it a step further, you could always bury his remain in a grave with cement to make sure it's going to take some time for him to come back. Now this would be a very good plan in hindsight, if you ever matched up with Jason. But to be perfectly safe from Jason, the best plan is to stay away from Crystal Lake. But if you do end up there, don't engage in any sexual activities or consume alcohol, as he's shown restraint from attacking campers who've abstained from these activities. So how would you defeat Jason in a matchup? What would your secret weapon be? Let us know in the comments, and have a great Halloween!